There's a very simple reason that some women are ghosted time and time again, while others are chased and pursued by men. And despite what you've been told, it's not that some are prettier than others or better than others. It comes down to very simple psychology. And we're gonna cover it in this video so you can use these skills and infuse them into your dating life and get any guy begging to date you. So the first psychology principle we're gonna cover is scarcity versus availability. You have to remember that people value what feels exclusive. It's the same way that years ago when Kylie Jenner came out with those lip kits and everyone got in an uproar, and like if you had a lip kit, you felt so special because they were hard to get. You want a guy to feel like that if he's dating you. He's so lucky and he got you, and every guy wants you, but he was the one who won. That's the feeling you want to give a man. When you are overgiving, especially early on in a relationship, a guy feels like you would hand yourself over and commit to any guy who said he kind of liked you. And then when he is with you, he doesn't feel special. So the way to get the feeling that you are an exclusive item, that you would not commit to any guy, is very simple. You want to be unpredictable. This means not texting back right away because you are busy, you have other stuff going on besides this man. Not being available all the time for dates. I would say once a week in the early stages is like a good time frame to keep, and not being overly impressed by low effort. Because remember, you're giving the impression to him that high effort is what you are used to from men. That is the standard you keep. Low effort, a text every once in a while, that does not get your attention. You do not care. Here's the tea on men, guys. They emotionally invest in women they feel they had to earn. It's the same way that if we took two teenagers and one had to mow lawns all summer and save up and finally bought a car, and the other just got it from his parents, who do you think is going to treat that car better? The one who had to earn it, right? You want a man to feel like he had to earn you, he had to jump through hoops to get you, because then once he has you, he treats you better and he's less likely to just bounce. And lastly, it talks about this in the book Human Nature by Robert Greene. When we perceive somebody else as rare and they're with us, it feeds our ego. And you know, men and their egos, name a more dynamic duo. So when you present yourself as rare, then he feels excited and special, and he assumes he must be rare too if he's with a rare woman. So this is how you use a man's ego to your advantage, which smart girls do. So women who get chased time and time again, there's 4 key qualities that they tap into that make men continually see them as the prize. The first one is having a queen mindset. They know they are the prize, and therefore, if a man isn't putting effort in, they're not blowing up his phone, they're not checking his Insta following, wondering what he's up to when she's not around. No, she's like, he's showing me he's not worthy of my time, so he's filtering himself as unworthy of my boyfriend. Queen energy does not mean every guy wants to date you. Queen energy means you know any guy who's worthy of your time will pursue you. And any guy who doesn't pursue you, you kind of don't want, because you don't prove your worth to anyone. And I'm telling you, the irony in this is the less you feel the need to prove your worth to a man, the more worthy he perceives you to be. The second quality these women have is they are detached from the outcome. They are not clinging to a future with a guy before he's proven himself worthy of her, and therefore she remains in control of the power dynamic. When you go on a first date with a guy and you are imagining wedding bells already, then when he doesn't text you back, you panic because you're like, oh my God, our wedding's on the line, but you've actually only been on one date. That's why I would really encourage all of you to remain present and not get caught up in the fantasy of a guy. I always say when you fall in love with the fantasy of a man, you break your own heart because now you're holding him to that potential future instead of who he's being in the present moment. And you can only date who he's being in the present moment. Doesn't matter if he could be a great guy, if he could be a good husband. How is he treating you right now? That's what you need to be evaluating. So when you detach from the outcome with a man and you surrender to the universe, which is feminine energy, by the way, masculine energy is control. It's wanting to force someone to be your husband when it's not meant to be. It's not a hot, sexy energy. You actually repel that future when you cling to it so tightly. When you surrender, you allow things to unfold as they are. And someone who is your long-term partner, you will naturally, organically come together. It's not going to be because you forced him and coerced him into it. The third quality is holding strong boundaries. All right, queen energy is not people pleasing. I always say women are brought up with this like nice girl complex where they feel like they have to put others before themselves. But we're all shaking that now, all right? We're prioritizing ourselves. We're having our own backs. We're not abandoning ourselves for men any longer. If a man is inconsistent, the answer is no. Mixed signals are no longer good enough for you, babe. You want a man who consistently shows up for you, proves that he is worthy of your time, and if not, you're bored. You're not mad, you're not sad, you're not proving your worth to this man. You're bored and you're moving on to a guy who does know how to show up for you every day. Remember, boundaries are how you teach other people how to treat you. So the paradox with boundaries is the stronger boundaries you hold, the more people will rise up and meet them. And of course, there will be some losers out there who don't rise up and meet them, but you don't want those men. You're literally just filtering out the guys, the dusty men you never wanted to date in the first place. That is why boundaries work to your benefit in multiple different ways. And for the last quality is they have a well-rounded life. Queen energy is being fulfilled in other areas of your life, having passions, having a fitness routine, having a social circle, all these things that fill your cup and give you a magnetic energy. And how you will know if you are in that energy is when you get a text from a guy, do you get a dopamine rush? Because if you're already living a well-rounded life, this guy is just like the sprinkles on top of your already amazing Sunday. But if your life is not whole and complete without a man, then you get a dopamine rush every time you get a text from him because he's your only source of happiness. And you never want a man to hold that high of a position in your life. The notion that a couple is two halves coming together is very outdated. Now you are two whole people who have whole lives and you're coming together in union. That is the thought we want to keep, because then you are no longer dependent on a man for your happiness. And I'm telling you guys, in long-term relationships, it is exhausting to have a partner who depends on you for your happiness. This is not only how you get a great guy, but this is how you keep him. Now let's cover the qualities of women who get ghosted over and over again and why they are doing things wrong with good intentions, but it's not working out to their benefit. Number one, they overinvest too soon. Remember, no girlfriend level commitment equals no girlfriend level treatment. Two, they chase instead of allowing a man to chase them. When you initiate dates, you overtext him, you call him, you stalk his Instagram, you're giving him so much power over you. You need to take back control and know if he's the right guy for you, he will chase after you. And if he doesn't, do you even want him? I wouldn't. Remember, you're not trying to convince this guy why he should like you. You're living your well-rounded life, and if he's worthy of being your boyfriend, if he's the right fit for you, he will chase after you. That is the only scenario that exists. Three is lack of standards. If you just hand yourself over to any guy who says he kind of likes you, you're gonna get your heart broken because not every guy is worthy of being your boyfriend. You need to be continually filtering out men who aren't going to treat you right. If a guy doesn't know to book the dinner res, he doesn't know to get you flowers on Valentine's Day, you don't want to date him. And that's okay. That's part of the process. You're filtering out men who aren't going to be good long-term partners to you. And then you stop wasting your time on losers, and now you pour your energy into men who actually are going to be good partners to you. So here are a few ways to know if you are currently an option to a man. I call this the option trap that men put women through. Number one, a lot of talk about the future. When a guy says, one day we'll do this, and in the future I want to do that. But right now, he's not texting you back, he's being really shady, he's entertaining lots of women. You need to cut the cord and focus on men whose word actually means something. Remember, actions will always speak louder than words with men. Whatever he says, throw it in the trash. It means nothing if it's not followed up by concrete action. Two, inconsistent communication. This hot and cold push-pull dynamic, women always get roped into it because it's chemically addictive, these highs and lows. You're like dopamine high and then you don't hear from him and you're like, what's going on? And it's just like this roller coaster that gets you literally addicted to a toxic man. Inconsistency is not hot. That has to be the way you view it. It's not, how do I prove myself? How do I get him to be consistent? It's like, ew, he said he was going to call and he didn't. Oh God, I thought he was a cool guy, but he's clearly not. That's the mentality you have to keep. Three, low effort dates. And here's the thing that gets missed a lot. Expensive dates does not equal high effort. I would say low effort is a man who doesn't put time into planning the date. He maybe texts you a few hours before to see if you're available instead of booking it in your schedule. Just because he's taking you to a fancy dinner does not mean he put a lot of effort into it. So you really need to pay attention to the details, because minimal effort is not sexy. That's not a guy who's going to be a good long-term partner to you. And 4, if he is the king of dating apps. Dating apps are a great way to meet men, but there are some men out there who use them to feed their fragile ego by talking to a lot of women all the time, like being pen pals with them all day. It's a low vibe. You don't want a guy who's like super into texting and wants to be pen pals, but is really slow to meet you in person. That's not a hot, sexy energy. A man in his masculine schedules a date. He wants to meet you in person. He wants to progress the relationship. The time frame I would give this would be a week. You match on whatever dating app, you text for a week. If in a week's time he has not scheduled the date, cut your losses. He's going to string you along. So here is how to shift from an option to a priority with a man. Step-by-step guide, because I know you guys love those. Number 1, stop overgiving to men. And how you know if you're overgiving is if you're mirroring his behavior. So if he texts you every 2 days, you text him every 2 days. If he calls every other day, you call every other day. You're not overextending yourself to a man, you're allowing him to pursue you. And I know that space can feel uncomfortable at first to some women, but if there's no space between you and him, he has nothing to pursue. You're on top of him. Have the confidence to know that if he's the right guy for you, he will chase after you. And if he doesn't, you probably didn't want him anyway. Which leads to point 2, be comfortable walking away. Remember, the less you need a man, the more he needs you. This man is not your savior. He's not going to give you this like utopia of a life. He's literally a partner. And as someone in a long-term relationship, I can tell you, relationships are hard work too. So it's not like once you get the guy, your life is magically better. It's just different. Remember, the person in control of your happiness is you, not this man. So maintain the power to walk away if he's not making you happy. And the irony is that when you are always able to walk away, you rarely have to. And 3, make a man earn you. Hold those high standards and know the right man will meet them and the wrong men won't. And that's part of the process. When he has to earn you, he appreciates you more. And high tier men, the great men that you all want to date, they secretly yearn for women who make them prove themselves. Because remember, men were bred to be conquerors. It's like Roman Empire thing they're obsessed with. They secretly want a woman they have to earn. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel and book a one-on-one with me.